All right, did you hear about this? Rapper and music mogul Jay-Z is now being accused of raping a 13-year-old girl with Sean Diddy Combs during an MTV VMA after party in the year 2000. The rapper issued a blistering statement in response and directed his comments at attorney Tony Buzbee, who filed the suit, saying, quote, "You've made a terrible error in judgment thinking that all celebrities are the same. I'm not from your world. I'm a young man who made it out of the project of Brooklyn. We don't play these types of games. We have very strict codes and honor. We protect children. You seem to exploit people for personal gain. I look forward to showing you just how different I am."
For anybody wondering who Tony Buzbee is, so Texas-based lawyer, we've got a quick clip of him. Let's take a look.
The biggest secret in the entertainment industry that really wasn't a secret at all has finally been revealed to the world. The wall of silence has now been broken, and victims are coming forward.
Jay-Z is the first celebrity to be accused of sexual assault in connection with Sean Diddy Combs.
Hold up! Hold up!
That is not true.
Tony, you said last week at the news conference that you would begin filing lawsuits as early as this week. Do you have plans to do so? And do they involve celebrities? Do they involve just Diddy, people beyond Diddy?
I think I'll let the lawsuits speak for themselves.
Are we talking about celebrities on the level of Diddy?
I would expect so, yes.
Have you sent any demand letters out to anybody other than Diddy saying, here's what you've done, we want to settle with you, or we're going to file a lawsuit? Have you sent any to, say, other celebrities beyond Diddy?
We have, and I want to explain that process because it's important.
Tell me that he did not just admit to allowing criminals to get away if they are willing to pay.
You know, in every single case, especially cases like this, we collect our data, collect our evidence, do our due diligence, spend time with the victim, and then because it's in the best interest of the victim, we attempt to resolve these matters without the filing of a public lawsuit. And we have done that already. We've done that, I would say, you know, with a handful of individuals, many of which you've heard of before, and we'll continue to do that. Okay.
So you let the sexual deviants pay for their freedom.
Go get the strap.
So I'm curious your thoughts on that, Sonny, as an investigator. There's been a personal choice by this now woman, then 13-year-old complainant, who has chosen to go the civil route with attorney Tony Buzbee to get justice instead of going to investigators that we know of. You know, Tony Buzbee could have said something publicly in response to Jay-Z's comment that, well, she has reported it or something, but to our knowledge, there has been no report. What does that say to you when an alleged victim isn't choosing to go the criminal route?
I just be looking for a man with a bag. I need that money.
Well, I don't know what you're looking over here for. I got a bag and I got money, but I ain't got shit for you, though.
Oh, really?
What you mean, oh, really, yeah?
So it could say multiple things, and one of those could be that maybe as a young person or as someone more mature, they did try that. And they had some type of negative encounter with law enforcement where they may not have been believed. Sometimes that does happen, and that could have made it impossible for this alleged victim to feel comforted by what law enforcement would and could do. However, with all of the spotlight now on the other case, now tying this into this case, they might feel like there's more leverage, and maybe they don't want to go to court and testify in a trial. However, I think it is the wrong thing to do at any place when we think that criminal charges against someone where there's an alleged victim that was a child, a minor at the time. I do not think that lawyers should take this tactic. I know they're defending their clients, but I do think that we need an investigation into this case. There is still the parents. We need to find out, where were the parents with this child?
Once outside, the plaintiff put her clothes back on.
and left the scene in the dark. The plaintiff attempted to retrace the route taken by the limo. She kept running until she reached a gas station and she noticed on her way to the party. A female clerk noticed her distress and allowed her to use the phone. She called her father, admitted that she lied about her whereabouts, and asked him to pick her up. The plaintiff's father arrived to pick her up shortly before dawn. Now, I had a source of contention with this part of it when I first read it. So you're telling me your daughter snuck out, lied to you about where she's going, went to not only the VMAs to stand outside, but then gets brought by a limo driver to an after party where supposedly she gets drugged and Jay-Z and Diddy rape her while there's another celebrity watching in the room. She somehow wakes up out of this blur of a stupor and just start punching, grabs her clothes, runs out of the whole residence, runs down the road to it's like a scary movie at this point, runs down to a gas station, calls the father. The father shows up, and you're telling me your daughter tells you that all this happened, and you ain't say,
hey, where he is? Point him out. Throw his bitch ass in the trunk, show him what the fuck we talking about.
Who else did she tell? There's so many nuances that are not explained. I just don't think that we can say, okay, it's going to be a civil complaint, ignore the criminal charges. And like you said, we still have a 4-year window where charges could be filed, but we need to get to those first before we start talking about having a mediation.
Right. Excellent point, Sonny, as always.
So another thing Jay-Z said in his statement is that this was a civil suit filed against him, and he said these allegations are so heinous in nature that I implore you to file a criminal complaint, not a civil one, essentially saying if I really did these things, treat me the way I should be treated. So how should we be thinking about all of this? What do you think?
Well, that's some denial from him. And, sometimes celebrities have pretty muted denials, like, I'm not going to comment now, or I direct all questions to my lawyers. I actually admire the strength of the denial. I think that at this point, there's no objective indicia of reliability to this complaint. Now, obviously, things are going to play out and we're going to end up learning more. But if you look at it on its face, it's a 24-year-old complaint. Very significantly, he was not named in the lawsuit in the first instance when it was filed. The girl was allegedly 13 at the time it happened, and in the complaint it says that she had been given something and she was quote unquote woozy. And so I think that this just needs to be looked at in kind of a measured way.
So around September 7th, 2000, a plaintiff who was then 13 had a friend drive and drop her off near Radio City Music Hall. So this 13-year-old shows up, and her friend dropped her off near Radio City Music Hall and that she could try to attend the VMAs. Now, also interesting, she doesn't have a ticket. Attending the VMAs was on the plaintiff's bucket list. Well, that's also a little bit odd because you're 13. You don't have a bucket list. Your life is just beginning. Whatever, though. And she believed she could gain entry. The plaintiff arrived at the venue and saw large crowds gathering. As artists and entertainers began arriving, plaintiff was very excited. As the event began, much of the crowd moved inside with the plaintiff without a ticket, as I said, remained outside with others and watched the VMAs on a jumbotron. Chat, so that's what I'm asking if that's weird. Does that sound odd that maybe a young child or, I'm guessing maybe there wasn't much parental supervision. So it says that as the event began, much of the crowd went in. The plaintiff without a ticket remained outside watching on jumbotron. Determined to get into the VMAs or an after party, she approached several limousines parked outside and attempted to talk her way into either. One of the limousine drivers she spoke with claimed to work for Diddy. The driver told her that Diddy liked young girls. Holy shit. And she fit what Diddy was looking for. Fit what Diddy was looking for. And while not allowing her into the awards, the driver invited her to an after party. The driver stated that she had to drive Combs and others to an after party first, but instructed the plaintiff to return to his location after the event and that he would pick her up and take her to the after party. So essentially, she's not going to the award show, but she could possibly see some of these celebrities at an after party. Later that evening, the plaintiff excitedly returned to the same location and waited for what seemed to be a long time. The driver eventually returned and drove her to what was described as an after party.